Are you drinking water?
I
I'll be
am.
very upset with you if you're not.
I'll drink some water right now.
Water is overrated.
It's not overrated. Water is what keeps you gay. That's what Ray said.
Oh, is it because of the frogs in the water?
Turn the freaking frogs gay.
I
Yeah,
hate them putting
hydrate.
chemicals in the water. It turns the freaking frogs gay. Do you understand that?
Oh, Alex Jones, he's like my Patronus charm.
It's not your Patronus.
Oh, God. What an odd Patronus.
This is literally... I feel all of my college degrees slipping away playing this game. Like every brain cell in my head is just like these balloons. Just going pop.
Pop, pop, pop.
I remember being back in primary school. I don't know what the equivalent is in America. Like, what's the school that you go to after kindergarten?
Middle school?
Yep.
Middle school, yeah. My incentive to like finish like my work in school was that if I did it quickly, I was able to go on the school computer and just play online games.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Shinobi Tactics.
Get shit done quick and go play cool math games.
Fucking cool. We were talking about that in Discord. Coolmathgames.com.
Dude, I'm so mad they uncooled it. Like, it looks so stupid now.
There's one that I remember that. Oh god. Oh shit. Dude, the attack helicopter just saved my ass. Oh.
Attack helicopter.
Wait, well, you only have one a helicopter. Get another one on there.
I can't fit a lot of the big things.
Get another helicopter on there right now.
Oh god, I'm gonna lose. I'll just pay money. I can pay $1 to not lose. Okay, I'll put another helicopter. Okay.
Upgrade
that
bad boy. There you go.
Oh god.
Oh my god. Not even a helicopter can do it.
I'm spending so many monkey bucks to keep going.
Not the monkey bucks.
Oh, I haven't upgraded half of my upfront guys in a while. He's okay.
Yeah, there's your problem.
No wonder you gotta spend those monkey bucks.
Have you got the engineer monkeys up there?
Yeah, I got an engineer monkey up there. Let's try
you need to get a bunch of them, and maybe a bit more like glue guys as well to slow them down.
Yeah, get the glue boys.
We've got a glue boy up there.
Yeah, but you only have one. Like you might need like to spare like spread them out around the map.
I have another one over here.
Shoot that
Put
glue.
him here. Oh, what does he do?
Throw the glue boys up there like they're in kindergarten.
Yeah, exactly.
That was you in kindergarten, wasn't it, Elias?
No comment.
Elias ate the glue.
Absolutely ate glue.
I was the one that put glue all over my hands and then slowly peeled it off.
Ooh, yeah, that was the best.
Hell yeah.
That is literally upsetting to me. Oh, I'm fucked. Oh, I'm absolutely dicked. Oh, they did it! They did it, boys!
I remember my teachers used to go insane with me using scissors because I'm left-handed. So we used to have like these left-handed scissors which are like different colored. And they would freak out if they saw me using the right-handed scissors in my left hand. Like, Michael!
Okay, note to self, save the ults for balloons getting too far.
I don't remember much from kindergarten. I just remember one time getting stabbed with a pencil.
No. Why would someone do that to you?
I don't know. I do remember thinking that the piece of lead was still stuck in my hand and being very panicked as a child.
So this one time, my parents took me to like Home Depot or something when my dad still had a pickup truck and it had like a back seat, so it wasn't a huge deal. Like to ride in for a kid or whatever. So I was in the back seat and I was drawing or something, and I didn't want to lose my pencil like in between the cushions, so I put it eraser down, point up in between two of the cushions.
Oh
When
no.
I got back in the car, I fucking sat straight on that bitch, like right in the ass cheek. And the the lead broke off, like in my butt cheek.
Oh no.
And this is this is like it was fine. Like they didn't have real lead in pencils anymore. Like I'm not that old, but my mom like didn't really think of that. Like she was just thinking this is the fucking 1970s and I'm gonna get like literal lead poisoning from having this pencil in my ass cheek. And so my mom literally pulled my pants down and was like trying to get what she thought was the lead out of my butt cheek in the parking lot of a Home Depot. And my dad was like, Mom, it's fine. There's no lead in there. It's gonna be okay. We did it.
You and that parking lot have history.
Literally, I think I was like 11 or something. It was humiliating in the Home Depot parking lot. Anyway, yeah, and I had a blue mark on my butt for like 10 years of my life from the pencil lead that was in it.
Oh my god.
That is a traumatic experience of my youth, to be honest. Why am I so blue?
I remember finding a small round rock and putting it up my nose and then sniffing really hard and it got lodged on my nose.
Yeah,
you fucking would.
You absolutely would. I've gotten buttons stuck in my nose. I got a frozen pea stuck in my nose one time. Momlet will tell some horror stories next time she's on stream.
I never did the nose stuff, but did you guys ever have the whole like everybody would pop a hole in the cap of their water bottles phenomenon? And they would like just squirt their like plastic water bottles into their mouths.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So I attempted to do that with a pen and couldn't do it for whatever fucking reason. So then the natural progression was a knife.
Excuse me.
And then the knife slipped and cut.
I knew where this was going from the start.
Yep, and cut the area between my pointer finger and my thumb. And as a child, I like split-second decision would never tell the truth. I was always prone to lying. So Hi. So instead of telling my parents the truth, I told my mom that I slammed it in the car door. Why?
I was like, this is the literal slice.
Literally. So she brings me to the ER, and they're like, yeah, you're lucky. You're really fucking lucky. This isn't deeper. Like, you don't have to get stitches. Congratulations. And like right there in the face of a fucking doctor and like sobbing because I don't have to get stitches. I'm like, I cut my hand. I lied.
Your mom was probably like, no shit.
Yeah, she was. She was like, duh.
You fucking idiot.
Like, I've known your fucking lying face since you were a baby. Of course you did this.
How do I do the guild party thing again, Sil? G party? Oh, I did it!
Did anyone pretend to sleep while in the car so you get carried in by your parents?
Oh my gosh, all the fucking time.
No.
Yeah, I would do it, and they'd be like, Mike, you're 15. You're not home for it. I'm like, damn it.
Question. We're at 5 people. I'm fine adding up if you want, because you're all live.
I really hope this is working properly.
Yeah, so Oh,
Ooh,
let me DM
advent
you.
calendar.
Alright.
Oh, it
Wait,
is. Yay. Yeah, the advent calendar gives you a Bedwars chest.
Bedwars what?
Segacy.
A Bedwars chest. I just gotta figure out how to open it. There's a bubble in my throat.
I don't have any.
You also get a free chest from Santa over here.
I don't care. I just want to play
Samba.
Bed Wars.
Santa.
Oh,
Oh,
Where
Santa.
are you guys?
I can see you.
oh.
Okay, I see. Alright, where's Queen? Queen?
I am opening loot chests. It's fine.
Okay, well, I'm starting a Bed Wars game. 4v4 or 4v... No, 4v4v4. Okay, we're starting. Yeah, Falcon, I'm very down for Goose Goose. Also, you guys, Falcon said that they did the same thing except in between their palm and finger with the pencil.
The stream delay is real, my dudes.
Yeah, always.
Oh,
I
what?
missed. That chat has been sitting there for a while.
I
Though. I was just
did send
looking
that
at it.
Oh, I
tweet,
love
right?
this map.
I don't remember if I sent the damn tweet or not.
This one looks cool.
This one is pretty cool.
I assume I sent that tweet. Oh.
I like literally have forgotten what my okay. Bed defense. Bed defense. Bed defense. Oh, I need more iron. Stop taking the money. I need to defend our bed before we get murdered.
Idibu.
You
Hibbidi-bibbidi.
can't tell me what to do. I am the best bed defender of all time.
Living la vida loca.
Her skin's the color mocha. Wait, hang on.
Oh.
I'm pausing so that I can play that song.
Where's the chest?
Oh,
Play
I
it.
am playing
burped at me.
a DMCA free stream playlist that I found on
Wait.
YouTube, so it's great.
That wasn't our bed,
Yes.
was it?
No. We are blue.
Yes, we're totally. Because
I
that's what color this is.
sometimes don't read
I got
what
a common
color I am.
gift. What's this? Bring it to the shopkeeper.
Yep, yep.
Oh. Where's the shopkeeper? Is this guy?
Yep.
Oh.
Elias joins the Hypixel server for that
Poopy
literal
face.
first time.
It is quite an experience.
No, 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 no.
Sitting in the rain,
No, no, no.
mixing away your pain like a bullet to the brain, upside and inside out. Did you
Who
die?
died?
Possibly.
Oh, Silvazar has left.
Oh.
I mean Silvazar's alt.
Wait. Do it. Mm.
Yeah, pool. Get to go swimming.
Mine.
My layered bed defense. This shit is impenetrable, bro.
Try penetrating it now.
Yeah, just you try and penetrate my.
Did you do that, Colin? You wanna finish that?
I'd like to see you try.
Do it. You won't.
Oh no, I've been penetrated. Oops.
Our trap has been triggered.
I'm not done yet. Make them die.
Die. I don't see anyone.
Vinny
Oh, shit.
Again.
Where are they?
I'm on him.
Okay, I'm on top of the
Oh, God.
bed.
Oh,
Got him,
God.
got
Oh,
him.
God. No. Fuck.
Got him.
Yeah. Hey. No. Jesus.
Everything was stolen from me.
Everything is awesome.
Everything is cool when
Everything
you're
is
part of
cool
a
when
team.
Part of the
you're
team.
She will wear
Ooh,
you
I got another gift.
out.
Sega.
Reinforced armor, sharpened swords. Can only get one. We can't get both.
Sharpened.
And then
I
I'll do
like
the trap.
swords.
Trap.
I'm joking, I'm nice
Need more
bit.
gold.
Oh my god.
I do that with surprising frequency.
Hello, sir. Goodbye, sir.
Do we have a visitor?
He was standing over at one of the diamond gens just watching us.
Just hanging out, watching my impeccable bed defense building.
Yeah, he's probably thinking, wow, that's so amazing. I can't even dare walk over there.
Wow, she's so good at Bedwars. I should get her on my team.
Yeah, I should steal her away from them.
I should subscribe to her YouTube channel. What is that?
What is what?
There's a firework. Achievement unlocked. Oh, I got a present.
Yeah.
Does it make fireworks when you get a present? What the hell?
It must be from us getting the achievement.
Sil sent me a friend request and I just saw it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, worth
Very
it.
nice. Are you still over there?
Extreme
Oh, I see you.
pog.
Get back.
No, I thought
Get
you
back.
were going
Run.
Someone's on your
somewhere.
ass. Someone's on your ass.
Okay, I will buy.
I need more
Oh! Right on their fucking head.
Extreme pog.
Yeah. Dropped at the emerald generators. Do we have a pathway to the emerald generators?
Red does. So if we go over to red, we can get over there.
And
And
Elijah's destroyed their bed.
Yeah, there's literally only one red left. So
I have a present. Okay.
cute. What is it?
Never.
I don't know. It
Think-
doesn't say anything.
think- If we say it,
Oh no.
it's fine.
Whoa.
Oh, I died.
Oh.
I need one more diamond and then I can give us better armor.
Simon's in the chest.
That's why I said I need one
Oh.
more.
Okay, this song has now been on repeat 500,000 times. We'll go back to Funk Drift. Is
I
there
did not
someone here?
realize that
Please
this
don't
bridge
die.
was broken. Can someone come finish it? I don't have a way back now.
Yeah.
I'm stranded.
Where are
Oh,
you?
and there's a green coming. Oh no. Hello.
Where
Ah!
are you at?
Ah!
Oh.
Inside listen down. Oh, the green! Ah! Sorry.
Got him.
He just killed me and I had all of the blocks.
I
and a
have more
sword.
diamonds. Yeah, you went the wrong way, sweetheart.
I have
Thunder.
six. I have six
Okay,
diamonds.
well,
Have a dream defender.
Oh wait. Okay. I
His
think I can.
name is Harold.
I can do
Harold,
this. I can do this. I can do this.
I love you, Harold. Maybe I should-
No. Sad.
Captain, how could you?
I tried to. Oh, I tried to parkour.
Where's
Maybe I should
her?
stay with Harold.
Taste
That seems
one.
like where I belong.
We have
I got a
reinforced armor.
present.
One and we have prot one and haste one.
Oh, I'm sad.
She
Why are you
makes
sad?
I tried to parkour and I lost 6 diamonds.
Captain.
Green is really trying to get their booties on our base.
They are on the base.
I'll go get some more diamonds. You guys got this?
Oh my gosh, Harold, you are going to fall.
Harold won't
My
fall.
guy.
He'll be fine.
He's just a
has-
little bit of a daredevil.
He has impeccable balance.
Have you
Yeah,
gone?
it's Virgo.
I'm gonna go.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right, I got 2 more diamonds, Cap, and a
Ooh.
presente.
Presente.
She makes you take your clothes off and go dancing in the rain.
mm,
What if
I
I'm
just feel like
allergic to
I'm
rain?
dead.
Oh!
Oh no. Well, then she can't make you do anything, can she?
True.
Except, I guess, die. If your allergy is severe.
I went for the emerald gen and someone shot at me.
Greens. Oh. Blue face, you
Green,
got him.
it's just us in green.
Should we go kill them? I can stay here and defend our red if you guys go.
No!
They're shooting fireballs.
Guilty.
She makes you take your... Fuck, that's gonna be stuck in my head for 10 years now.
Ooh. A present.
I'm gonna stand on top of
Harold,
our
I am
base.
genuinely concerned for your well-being.
Me?
No. Well, that, yes, but no.
I was like, why?
No. Green. Come here.
Okay, green's coming.
Come here.
Coming.
Get a little
Oh.
smoochy. Oh, wow.
I just realized I
Jeez
still
Louise.
have
Whoa, what's the problem? Oh, let's go. Suck a dick.
Suck a dick.
Cock. Same thing. Oh yeah.
Alright.
Oh, get him, get him, get him. I'm watching. Oh, wow.
Ow. I fell off the roof. Don't worry, everything's fine.
I'm coming
Oh,
back
I'm
to
being
heal.
shot at. Never mind. Why won't I go?
Don't shoot me. Don't do that. I'm healing.
I'm healing. It's taken a while, but it's happening.
Me and Harold are
Um,
just sitting at the
I
base
missed.
doing nothing.
Damn it, I missed.
I just gave us a second dragon.
What's a
Segazine.
Don't know if we're gonna
dragon?
get that.
It's
Basically, when sudden death happens,
Oh,
they'll
shit.
spawn
Someone's
here.
green
Someone's here.
dragons.
I'm fighting them, but I think they're... Harold got them, but Harold...
good
has
job,
fallen.
Harold.
Harold is very far down.
I think I'm gonna
Harold just
sob when Harold
disappeared.
dies. Oh.
Oh, I got an
Harold
emerald.
just
He probably fell down.
Yeah, he's underneath us. He's still alive, but you might have to
He's
make another
just
one.
fireball.
Harold,
He
please.
has fallen.
Harold, get your
He
shit
has
together.
fallen.
We're in endgame now.
I need emeralds.
Embodos.
It is not okay to half-ass it.
We got embodos.
complete
What? How can you hear me? I muted myself.
Because I'm watching the stream because I'm on mine.
Silly goober.
Half-ass it, Scoot.
No, do not half. Oh shit! I thought that was blue team. Okay, no.
No,
Elias,
we don't
you're
have
really
fast
gonna-
things here.
We half-ass our homework for sure. Do what you
No.
need to do to hit that B- and pass the
No.
class.
Don't do that.
We need emeralds, yes?
Yeah, we
Oh,
do.
Emeralds give us the
I might
diamond
lose
shit.
them. I might lose them.
I'm coming from behind you.
Won't.
Are you fighting this boy?
I think he fell
Oh,
somewhere.
God!
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm gonna get more heralds.
goodbye.
The thing. I'm coming, Cap! I'm coming!
Oh shit.
Oh no!
I was stuck in a menu. Oh no! It's okay. We've got blast-proof glass.
Go Gerard!
Gerard Butler. /
Got him.
not platonic. She makes you take your clothes off and go dancing in the rain. They really tried to fuck up my fucking bed defense, you motherfucking slut bitches.
I can't get back.
Captain, do you
I only
need a
have two.
bridge?
Yeah, I only have 2 blocks left,
Okay,
and he keeps coming back and kicking my ass.
I can bridge back.
I also have a present.
Okay, where are you?
Over near the emeralds. I'm like
Someone stay at the base.
I'm an island away from.
I
Yeah, right
am
here.
here.
Hello.
Oh. They're blowing us up again.
That's all I could
Again,
offer.
my dudes.
Hold on, let me
Really?
see if I can. Oh, damn it! I still
Uh-oh.
need like 1 block.
Oh.
Fuck.
Get
I
fucked.
have some.
Get fucked, piss boy.
What's your drink of choice? Piss. Oh! Okay, I almost died.
You're good. You're good. Oh yeah. Piss on them.
Make them eat shit.
A little piss boy strikes again.
Yeah.
Piss.
We may not be yellow, but our piss sure is.
Okay, you
You
gotta
just drop me a block.
put.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Thank
no,
you.
drink of choice is out of stock.
Aw.
It's just sussy baka.
It is
Oh.
definitely rough, but we're doing it.
Oh God.
I have 5 emeralds.
I have 4 diamonds. Does that
5
help us?
emeralds.
Yeah.
You're practically
Um,
rich, son.
Can I might steal
Yeah,
these emeralds.
my
actually.
ball.
What? Excuse me, sir?
Actually, maybe Elias should take the emeralds. Elias, what armor do you have?
I don't know.
He doesn't have
Silence.
Back, and you can get diamond armor.
Ah, I'm getting more
We
blocks.
have
I'm not
enough
going out there without
emeralds
any
for one
now.
person.
Do you need some? I've got.
Um,
Oh.
I'm gonna go out there
Not
and
that
get
many.
I
more.
have chainmail and leather. That's
Got
all I
this.
Okay, we have enough. We have enough emeralds for you to get diamond armor.
We have a bridge
Oh, I
now.
missed.
I just got rid
A
of my
silly bridge, but we have a
Aim.
we have a bridge. Ooh, we have
Silly
6.
little bridge.
We have 6 now. 6 more.
Okay. Who's left? Just blue? I mean, fuck.
Just green.
Just blue.
Yeah, it's just blue.
It'd be super pog if we could win our first game.
Oh, for sure.
Elias, take the emeralds and get diamond armor.
Yeah. What do I do?
I'm gonna go
Your
get some
mom.
Emeralds?
green boys.
Yeah.
Go to the item shop, click the armor tab at the top, the
Yeah.
chainmail boots, and then click on the diamond boots.
Nice.
Ah! They got me.
Thank you.
I'm okay. I should not leave the base.
Get fucked,
You
little
guys-
piss boy!
Wait, how much irons do we have? Not that many. Did we upgrade our forge? Can we
I
green?
upgraded it once.
Do it again.
Why are you
Do it again.
suffocating?
Do it again. I'll suck your mom. Do it again.
Oh my God. What drugs are you on today, Captain?
I need one more diamond, and
Go ahead.
then I can
Do it
upgrade
again.
our forge again.
Do it again. I have a gift. You don't.
What's the
So we need one more
dragons?
diamond, so I'm gonna go.
Once we get to the final rounds, dragons start flying around.
Got a gift.
It says they're waiting for the dragons, and we should go explode their base. That's what Cool Sneaker said to do.
Oh, true. They might be waiting for the dragons. Shit. Because they're not attacking. Oh, I have 7 more. I have 7 more emeralds.
Go
I'm on my way back.
fireball them.
I ran out of my fireballs, but I can get more.
You guys keep picking up all of my irons. Should I run to someone else's base and go pick up their?
We have enough emeralds for somebody else to get a diamond armor. That's the word.
You okay there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Why are they blowing us up?
Because we've been using the bridges, so they've been shooting at us.
God damn
Oh, you motherfuckers. I'm about to take these.
I'm just stealing resources. There we go.
Alright, let me get...
Where are you, Boots?
Okay, we have enough diamonds for another person to get...
Got two.
No.
Scarlet, do you want the diamond armor?
Okay, calm down.
I don't know what use it is for me to have it, to be honest with you.
It doesn't go away,
But-
does it?
No,
Does it
the
fa-
armor is
Oh.
permanent.
Okay, then sure. As long as I
I
can't
knew
use
that
it
that's
when
what I knew that
die.
that's why you were hesitating.
The swords, however.
Oh, shit,
not-
shit, shit.
Alarm!
Swords are less
Alarm!
I see him. I see him. I see him.
I have a wooden sword.
He's lapping the base. He's lapping the base.
Meet him on
Okay.
the other side.
Fuck, I don't know where he went.
He's above us.
Shit. He has the advantage if he's up there, because he can hit us
I'm here.
harder.
I'm here. I'm here. Got him.
Nice.
Get
Hey.
fucked.
Yeah, you gonna arrow me, bitch? I might not be able to get back to our base. Could someone please give me some blocks?
Yeah, I got some.
You can get back. What are you talking about?
There's a hole.
You can jump
I
over
need
it.
2 more
I
diamonds.
can't jump over
and
it!
then-
No, I can't!
I did.
Okay, you probably can. I cannot.
Here, come on.
Take fireball.
I got it.
Fireball these dudes.
Hurry.
Where are
Thank
they?
you.
Yep.
I'm coming. I have 9 diamonds.
Segacy.
Oh, we need to redo the
Alright, I've got 3 fireballs.
The bed? Is it okay?
No, I was talking about the alarm
Mm.
trap.
Fuck. They're still shooting fireballs.
Let me get some more blast-proof glass.
Our forge now spawns emeralds.
Oh, hell yeah, I
Oh,
just picked up
wow.
one. We still have enough emeralds in there, so Chise, if you want to grab diamond armor.
The diamond armor.
Okay.
Going back to the diamond den. Over here.
Unlocked. I think I did it.
What?
I did it correctly.
Okay. Shit. Oh,
Why is this music so ominous?
I-
Oh,
I've really not done a good job at repairing our bed defense, but I'm not worried about it right now.
Is there a
I'd
bridge
rather
over
the
to their
compass.
place?
Oh, there's only 1 green left?
What? Wild. What happened there? Have you
I
been
don't know.
killing them, Elias?
I've been exploding them, but
Oh no, there
only
isn't a
as
bridge
I
over their
have
place.
enough fireballs. Stop fireballing us!
oh, I did that too high. Fuck.
Our bed is really getting severely exposed now, but I mean, what are they really gonna do? There's 1 of them. I don't want to waste money on it. Is that you shooting fireballs or them?
I'm not shooting fireballs.
Oh, let's go!
Let's
Let's go! Dude had no chance. Hell yeah.
Okay, why the fuck is this music so ominous?
Guys, protect
It's
my
slow
body
to Animal
because-
Crossing music.
Where are we at? Oh, same map. Hell yeah. Good omen. Good
Protect
omen.
my body because Nelly needs something. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Pooper scooper. You can get through. Hey,
Okay, that means
Go.
it's our turn to
There you
protect the bed.
go.
I'll take bed defense. It's fine.
Okay.
no, I'm back.
Damn, okay.
I do it.
you heard someone else taking bed defense. You were like, no, get away.
That's my
It's
job.
mine.
It's the only thing I'm good at.
You really said the audacity.
There we go. I need more irons.
Ooh, I glitched. That was Spookville.
All the Who's down in Whoville started to cry.
Where?
Why'd they cry?
Boo hoo.
What did you do to them, Elias?
Yeah, what'd you do?
I
What did you do to make
unplugged all
the
their
poor baby
toilets.
who's? Oh,
Not the baby
they-
who's.
They don't flush anymore.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
You're a mean one,
Mr. Poop.
Mr. Elias.
Did you get spooked? It's just me.
Yeah.
You're okay. I was running at Elias and he backed up. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Whoa now.
Hold on there.
You're a mean one. Mr. Grinch. You really.
you're a nice.
Da, da, da. I don't know the words, to be honest with you.
really
So I put on
are
a stream
cute.
playlist and I just switched over to YouTube to try and change the song, and it's not playing the playlist anymore for some reason.
Ep,
Shit gets wonky.
ep, 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 ep.
Come on. Stop stealing my resources! Do you want to survive or not?
Option number C.
No. Exhausted mom sigh.
Okay, witch. Shit.
That was a pretty dead on Minecraft witch.
Literally.
You're a mean one, Mr. Bitch.
Mr. Bitch.
I do call you a big old bitch a lot.
The
Some of
bitch
my
who stole
favorite little
Christmas.
That sounds like a Hallmark movie about like a dad and his adult children, and he brings home like a 25-year-old girlfriend.
Yeah, this bitch
That's
stole my heart.
the bitch who stole my heart.
That's
And
great.
Lily Collins would absolutely be in something like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, bye, Red.
Yeah, that was quick.
Yeah, I kind of fucked them over. They were fighting, and I just quickly snuck in.
Yeah, you
bed.
stabbed that sword right through that one dude's fucking neck.
Yeah.
That's okay, more generator for me. Delicioso.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Elias, be polite to our opponents.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
He is. He's saying sorry.
When you push them in the void, tell them you're welcome.
I'm glad I was here to end your miserable existence. I hope you find peace. Farewell.
That was
Beautiful.
very. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Green's over here taking out diamonds.
Those
Green, you
motherfuckers.
motherfucker.
I'm gonna fuck your day.
You're gonna fuck my dad?
Well, that too, but I mean, that was gonna come later.
That is like top tier suit of dominance right there.
I wanna fuck my dad. I mean, your
No.
Wait,
dad.
what?
What? Wait a minute. Wait a damn minute.
Hang on. I was trying to sing the thing where he's like, I'm gonna kill
My mom.
that.
I ran out of bombs.
We have Harold again.
Harold,
I like Harold.
the mascot.
He's a good egg.
But he's not an egg.
He's a good kid.
He's a good egg. He's a good iron egg.
Oh god!
Uh,
Did you just see that yeet me?
Yeah, I did.
I
That was
just
pretty
went
funny.
flying. Someone fix that, please. I'm on fire, otherwise I would. You guys did not fix it. It is still on fire.
I was getting diamonds.
I was getting fireballs.
I might die
I'm
from
gonna try
the
and
fire,
get this
Balls?
green guy.
Oh
Balls?
my gosh, I love
Balls?
Oh my gosh, I love
Balls? Mine, mine, mine.
Mine.
Oi, 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 oi.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so seagulls on Alex's mobs,
What the fuck?
worst thing to ever exist.
Literally. Oh my fucking god.
That was on the original modded server, and that was absolutely fucking terrible.
My bombs have disappeared. I am
Like,
useless.
whoever thought that was a good idea, I would like to have a long talk with them.
Alex, you can tell him.
Alex, you son of a bitch.
More gold.
Great
is
minds think alike. We also use the same insults, Cap.
Yeah.
Mother trucker, dude. Okay,
That hurt like a butt cheek on a stick.
I have finally finished the bed defense, okay?
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Don't
I
worry,
have
everyone.
a diamond pickaxe.
I was actually very worried. I was kind of shaking in my boots, but I'm glad that you reassured me.
Has anybody gone and gotten any emeralds yet?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Do you want me to? Do you
I
want
need the emeralds.
Okay, I'll go get the emerald. If anyone wants to go after a bed that doesn't have a pick or
I'm
a
gonna
stone axe,
I'm gonna quickly go after.
Fuck.
You
Fucking
cannot.
get-
You
fucking
can't.
get-
You can't
out,
do that.
get
They
out,
have to buy
get
their
out,
own.
get out,
They
get
have
out,
to buy
get
their
out,
own.
get out,
Stop.
get out, get out, get out. Are you seeing them go in the chest and then leave the chest?
I have diamond tools.
Peace! Peace!
Peace is not an option.
Green team has been eliminated. Okay, so it's just me and
Now
just yellow us.
Do
And
the
Ah.
crouch.
blue and yellow, Jesus.
Okay,
We
I
can't do
don't
the crouch
have the
anymore.
best weapons, but what I do have is shears, a pickaxe, and an axe. So if someone can distract either blue or yellow, oh wait,
need
or
4
yellow.
more
If someone
diamonds.
can distract blue,
I have
I can-
youthful optimism.
I can destroy their bed. Someone
Blue
come with me to
is-
blue.
Taking out goddamn diamonds. Blue.
Motherfucker.
Elias, are you gonna distract
Somebody get
them?
rid of those bitches.
Okay.
Oh, I just got 7 diamonds from this.
Ooh.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother.
Chat says yeah, distract yellow.
I got 5 Emmy wolves.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah,
I
what
was
the
just-
fuck, dude?
I was just hitting
The
Elias.
Fuck, dog?
Wait, Elias, come with
Don't
me to
fucking do
distract
me like
blue.
that, dog?
No, I got a bunch of. I took a bunch of
And heal pool.
their stuff, and I need to heal.
Oh god,
Ow.
this one might kill me.
My butt.
This one might kill me.
Don't
I
do that.
died.
Oh.
Okay, well, all my tools probably died with me.
Yeah.
It's fine. Oh no, they didn't. I have them. Okay.
Scarlet.
I don't.
I brought back
No.
9 emeralds.
Good job, little PogChamp.
Thank you.
The blue person is in the green base. I'm going to seek.
That's a little
No.
funky.
No, they're killing me again.
Oh, that's not as funky.
I'm gonna try and make a more sneaky route. I'm gonna go this way.
Less not as
Armor.
funky.
Oh.
Oh, blue's coming.
Oh.
In our base.
Up, 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 up. Ah, la, 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 la. Oh, they killed me.
You guys got it?
I was on fire. Not in the
Yeah,
good
they
way.
did.
Out. Oh, they saw right through my alternative route. Can you guys fireball them?
Yeah, so I'm going over to blue base now.
I'm at blue base, and their iron golem is murdering me. Like heavy murder. Okay,
if
that
you
was
could-
terrible.
Heavy murder. Not light murder. Not the kind of weekend murder. No, no.
We don't do that shit here.
We don't do that in this house.
Okay, well, I'll just stand here and collect iron until I can buy a lot of fireballs and
They have
distract
like really
them.
good armor or like weapons.
Elias,
they're
we have
pretty-
emeralds. You can get diamond armor.
Yeah, we have enough emeralds that you can get some diamond armor.
I keep forgetting I gotta do that.
Oh shit, they are using our bridge to the emeralds! No!
They're
No!
also using
Unacceptable!
our diamond tools.
Unacceptable! I refuse.
Okay, prot 2.
No.
Okay, I take my sneaky route once
What-
again.
I'm gonna sit here
Wait, I'll bring these diamonds back first.
until these sucky wuckies understand.
Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down.
No.
Desert you.
No. No.
I cannot
No.
buy any more fireball. Ooh, I can buy one more. Okay. Alright, I have 6 fireballs
I've
now.
been
Hopefully
deaded.
that should... No one wants to be the distraction for me, so I'm just gonna do it myself.
I was getting more
Okay.
emeralds.
It's getting more diamonds. Because I will not go further than the diamond generator.
I was killed and I used all of my fireballs in close range at someone and panicked.
Oh.
They
Does
might have
anyone
just picked up like 3
2
fireballs
diamonds?
from
Oh
me.
shit, they're here.
Ah,
Oh, no!
someone's here. Oh. Where's the person?
Oh, how did I die? Did they spawn their own iron golems on our base? Or were those ours? Was that
There's
Harold?
another
Yes,
one here.
they did. Blown up by their dream defender.
Oh damn. That was honestly a very cool kill, not gonna lie.
It was a
Is that
stolen kill.
ours? Is this ours?
If it's yes, it's ours. It's
Okay.
about to despawn in like 40 seconds.
It'd be attacking
Yeah.
us if it wasn't.
Okay, I mean, it was walking
You
towards
just
me. I didn't
want
know.
diamond.
Who's at the base?
I am.
Okay.
Okay.
You said you want a distraction?
I no longer trust myself.
Okay.
I'm right behind you, Scholars.
Okay, I'm just stealing all the shit from this other base. Oh, there's blue coming for me.
Yeah.
Or you, I guess. I just want to buy like a bunch of fireballs and
They're all
fireball
coming.
them.
They're all coming back to our base.
Okay, I'm coming back.
Where are they coming
I-
from?
Oh no, they're chasing me now. No,
Oh, I see one coming from the middle. Necromancer.
Fuck.
Queen red on your ass.
Where? I got us another
Fuck.
big boy. Oh, blue's
you-
coming from the other side. They're coming
Yeah,
from
no, I'm
both
holding.
sides.
Yeah, I'm holding them off. Just kill off the one guy that's in our base.
Okay,
Fuck.
we got him.
Elias, don't get yourself killed.
Yeah, no. I
Why is there a
there
present just chilling in the chest?
Ow.
If you can hold them off for as long as you can, I'm gonna go around and sneak into the other side of the base.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can hold him off.
I got a stack of arrows and I'm not afraid to use them.
Oh, some guy's doing the same idea.
Oh! Shot
Oh,
that
God
fireball
damn you.
right back at you. Get fucked, my dude. Get the fuck out of here. No. We don't do that here. We don't fucking do that here.
I might have just blown up our own base a little bit. Sorry.
Got him.
Oh, did they just make a kicked dog sound when they died?
Yeah, they do that
Yeah.
sometimes.
What the fuck?
I
They're
need
trying to
12
bridge
more
the gap,
diamonds
but
and
I
then
don't-
we can have 3.
Shit.
I need 12 more diamonds and then we can have 3.
Shit. 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 Shit.
Oh, nope, I'm not going that way.
Okay.
I need a better sword.
One of them's on the left.
Got myself an iron
Damn
sword.
it! I almost knocked him off.
Yeah, caught
Oh, they-
herself.
You motherfucker.
Not the little taunting jump.
Why don't you suck my dick, Blue?
Literally.
Suck my fat cock. Oh! Sorry. My bad. I inadvertently blew up
Fuck,
fireball
dude.
in our own base.
Yeah, that's what I did earlier.
I was wondering what that was.
You know what?
They're
More
getting a ton of
arrows.
emeralds. They're in the center right now. Do you think I should try and sneak over there? Sure.
Go for
Okay, well, I need blocks to bridge, so. I'll do that next.
it.
Don't even want to try either. No, fuck off! Fuck off! Ow!
Oh, sorry.
I had 6 diamonds on me.
Eat ass. They're fighting me and I died. Okay, great. I've done great.
My fucking.
I ignored chat for a very long time because I was so worried. They're fireballing Harold, you guys!
Yeah, they're mostly trying to fireball the bed.
Well, it's covered in blast-proof glass, so they can
Diamonds?
suck
Literally.
my butthole.
More diamonds. I need one more, and then okay, there we go.
Yep.
Good.
Yep. Oh shit, one's here.
Got a better.
One's here.
Our thing spawns emeralds now.
One's here.
I have a literal wooden sword.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh, 6 diamonds. That's beautiful.
I have 7.
Animal Crossing music is so calming.
Oh, Blue's here.
I don't have any blocks.
Oh!
Fuck this. We're getting a knockback stick.
Yeah, stick.
Need blocks. Need to get to the other diamond gen.
If you get 20 diamonds. Oh, wait, we do. Here we go.
Sigdazy.
I just saw someone. Oh, he's fucking hiding, you motherfucker. My render distance isn't high enough for this shit. They disappear as soon as I get back to the base.
Damn it.
I killed someone! Oh god, I'm gonna die now though. I have a wooden sword. Okay, well, that was great. It's fine.
I just.
I killed one person.
Iron sword in the chest.
Fog. No, that's it. Where's my fucking bow?
Crazy goes stupid. Oh shit.
Where is
Where
he?
are they?
Oh, he's got TNT.
Will TNT explode our blast-proof glass?
No!
I got an emerald for killing somebody.
Tried. He was almost
Got
dead.
him.
I got the bed! Yes!
Yeah!
Should I repair our defenses?
Yeah,
Yes.
they're fucked. Like, I just destroyed the bed.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're gonna go after our bed harder now.
Okay. I repair.
More than likely, at least.
Alright. Okay. I'm not doing a 10 out of 10 job, I'll be honest. It's harder when it's falling
That's
apart.
alright. That's alright.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
they
good
they
enough.
only have 3 people on their team,
Mhm.
so...
Oh god! You know, I play Minecraft because I feel like it's fun and chill and relaxing.
This
And
game
this
is the
is
exact
not.
I play
opposite.
Bedwars.
And this is not that. I'm having a panic attack.
Honestly, that's exactly why you get the reactions out of me that you do. I get so jittery in this game that I lose my shit.
Bro, I just bought arrows and didn't realize that I didn't have a bow.
Oh no. They're not coming. They might be bunkering down at their base, honestly.
Yeah,
Waiting
they
for
are.
diamond. It's Emerald 3 in 46 seconds, which means sudden death timer is gonna start.
Oh shit.
And once that timer goes down, the dragons
One's
spawn.
dead.
Oh, let's go. What a G.
You are really a lot better at this than I give you credit for consistently,
Mm.
and I don't apologize for that, but I just thought I would articulate it.
Shit.
I make no apologies.
Oh, okay, that's you guys. Good. I ran
I
off
just
to the emerald
figured-
generator,
oh,
so
I
I got
almost got him
spooked.
off. I almost knocked him off. That was pretty funny. If someone gets over there now, or bow and arrows him. He's probably low on health.
I got 8 emeralds.
One more is in the chest now.
Okay, Cap and Scar are the only people who don't have diamond armor.
Okay.
Do I
Elias,
need
if you
it?
want to get a
Do
sword,
I need it?
If I bring our
Make them
iron
choose.
golem to where they are,
Or we'll
will they
juice 'em.
die?
the golem will try to kill it. Yeah, kill them. Yes.
Okay. I almost have enough for...
30. It's 30 diamonds for prop 4 and 16 diamonds for full 200% resources.
Where the hell are they? Oh, they're at the base. Okay.
Oh. 5 minutes.
5 minutes
Yay!
until our bed's gone, and then 5 minutes. So 10 minutes until sudden death. With the
Okay,
wag.
I have 2 iron golems. Where are they?
They're at the base.
Okay, Elias, can you
Mhm.
provide me an escort? A tactical escort?
I've got enough
No.
emeralds for you to have diamond as well.
Okay, that would be helpful.
And I've got 11 more diamonds.
Did you say no, Elias?
Yes.
They're breaking
Okay.
the end stone.
On our
I
bed?
think they might- No, in their bed. I think they might be building a dragon hut. Because endstone's the only thing that dragons can't break in 1.8.
Go over there and
Okay,
just
well.
fucking yeet them in.
Elias, escort me over there right now.
Well, all of us should just go over and just kill them.
Well, our bed is unprotected then. Come with me.
Well,
Okay,
if
she's
we're all
leaving
going
me
over
by
there, it won't
myself.
give them
Here.
enough time to get
I'll
over
stay
here.
here. I'll stay here. And then you guys can go.
I'm right behind you, Scarlet.
I'm a little
You know
behind,
what?
but
Just
I'm coming.
leave. I don't want your fucking help. If you're gonna be a fucking sassy bitch about it.
If you're gonna be a sassy lassie about it, get out of here.
Yeah, if you're gonna be
Who's
rude
the
to
one
me.
having the hissy fit right now? I'm not doing anything.
I asked you 500 times throughout
Yeah,
the course
and I
of this
said
game.
we should all go over there.
Just keep your
You've
peepers peeled
ignored
in
me
case they have
every other
some.
time.
In case
They
they have
have a
some
goal.
boom booms.
I
They
don't
have a
care. I
goal.
just need to spawn ours.
Oh shit.
Trap and everything.
Oh, well, I don't know what
Whoopies.
happened there.
That
Theirs
was
is
me.
gonna kill me, but I think I killed one of them. Did I kill any of them? Or did I not
Yep.
get high enough?
Ouchies, I'm on
And
fire.
they're dead.
There's only 2 left. Did I kill any, or were there only 2?
Yeah, we got killed. We didn't get any.
Okay, great.
Damn. Shit.
Yeah, we should all just go over there. Just 2 go around to the
Um,
left, and the other 2 go around the right,
We
so they don't
we
sneak
can
up.
do that.
Might as well bum rush them.
Does anyone have 4 diamonds? We need 8 more, and then we can get prop 4.
Oh, but you can get more time.
I have 8.
Damn, my fireballs this round have been so glitchy.
I'm pretty bad at aiming them, to be
Or let's
honest.
Go.
They just like in my inventory they've been glitchy. They keep like disappearing and dropping out of my inventory for no reason.
Okay, well, Scarlet, where are you?
It's all fucky wacky.
Oh, fucky wucky. Okay, who's
Alright.
coming with me?
Hang on, let me go get a bow.
I'll go with you.
I have one. Okay, you guys are going that way, and Elias and I are going the long way.
Yes.
It's the same.
It's the same. It's the same length.
Oh, right, because they're opposite
I don't have
corner.
any blocks.
You don't need
Wait, well-
blocks.
I am horrible at parkour. Of course I need blocks.
Oh, I'm glitching very hard.
I'm gonna
Oh.
buy some from.
Wait, I'm not with you,
Okay.
guys.
I break these? No.
Oh yeah, we definitely need some on this side actually. Holy shit. They
I
did,
went on I went towards red.
they did some weird shit over here. Hello, bebés. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Okay, bye-bye.
They're both on me. They're both on me.
I'm in their
All I
base.
said was hello, how are you? Shit. I see how it is.
I'm in
Damn.
their base, but I'm not killing any of them.
we have an insider. Let's go. Oh, one
just-
left. Let's go.
just-
Yeah,
mm,
Elias killed one.
Hell yeah. We can do this.
If
it's just-
somebody wants to get a diamond sword,
What? How do they? Oh.
All beds, all beds.
It was like,
You're like, how'd they do that?
we have 10 minutes to kill them unless if
We can do
don't
that.
kill them in time, the dragons will spawn.
We could do
that's
that.
plenty of time.
We could do that. Do they still have the iron golems?
I killed one of them.
I've
Gotcha.
got fireballs, so I'm gonna go explode their golem.
I've got a couple.
I'm gonna murder your dumbass, you fucking stupid bitch.
Well, I can't tell what's placed by a player and what isn't, okay? Game, you know what? I'm not liking your tone. Ow, ow, my butt, stop it!
Are you?
Yeah!
Victory!
Let's go.
Let's go.
2 for 2.
And now I'm on top of their castle. It's mine. King of the castle. Wee 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 wee.
Alright, squad. That was pretty impressive, not gonna lie.
Hell yeah. Squad up, baby.
Okay, one more. One more. I'm not gonna lie, as autism-inducing as Bloons Tower Defense is, I was having a lot of fun. Like, I felt it getting worse, but...
Well, do you want to do one game of it before you end stream tonight? Or multiplayer?
Oh yeah, we should try. Okay, after this round, let's attempt a co-op Bloons. Do we need 4 players for it, though?
No, I don't think you do, no.
We can just play 2?
Yeah.
Alright, let's do that. Wind, if you're here. Oops.
Fuck.
Queen Cool says you need to hop on the Bloons train. Which I agree with wholeheartedly.
Highly dislike tower defense games.
What does a gift do? Like, oh, it just gives me money.
Yeah, it just gives you some coins. I have also not played. Stop hitting me. I have also not played
Do you
Bloons.
wanna defend it then or not?
I've also not played Bloons since I was a kid.
Okay, I'm gonna try and get Green's bed.
Yeah! Sneak in there like a little goblin.
Red is on our base! Red destroyed our bed!
What the heck?
I wasn't done building it, and you guys steal all of the money, and then I only have like 3 end stones to cover our bed. I'm disappointed. Team, you've let me down. As the leader of this group, and clearly the highest ranked player, that was a miserable performance. Also, I couldn't come off mute fast enough to give you guys a better warning.
Wow! Wow!
Really?
I yelled it to chat, and then I was like, wait, fuck, I can't hear me.
So how long do you think we're gonna last? We don't have a bed. We can't respawn.
I can try and get Green's bed.
I think you should respectfully bow out so that I can play Bloons Tower Defense. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
You want us to throw?
Who do you
No.
think we are?
A bunch of nerds.
Seabakas.
Wow.
Harold, let's go.
Yeah! My man!
Have a singular fireball.
Green bed
Elias!
is dead.
Elias is going.
Let's
I'm
go!
not fucking around. Oh. Red.
The green
Harold's
guy
at our base!
the
Hey,
green
hey,
guy-
hey, hey! Oh my gosh, Harold, no!
Is Harold
This
dead?
is a travesty!